kick us in, Chex. Let us know what we got going on here. You got a big guest in the house today. The one and only.
We do have a big guest today. Jaden Hossler, musician, social media star, but most of all,
male model.
Male model, just a rock and roll superstar, man. And just a guy that I relate to. And just from us in small passing, you know, recently last year, we sat down and we talked for, 30 minutes of just about life.
Yeah,
and
it was nice, dude.
I was like, this is my guy. It's my guy. We have way more in common than I possibly ever could have imagined. And that's the beauty of like actually getting to talk with people. Yeah. That's why I told Bear, I'm like, man, we got to get Jaden on the podcast. He's got an epic life story. And it's a story of perseverance, which is really what it is, you know?
Thank you guys for having me. Genuinely. This is cool.
100%.
This is cool as fuck for me. So
100%.
And we're stoked too, because this is like his second podcast. So
is it really?
Yeah, dude, I don't do podcasts very much. I don't know. I talk a lot. Like I try to talk less the older I get, but I don't know. I feel like there's just a time and place for everything, you know? And so I like to hone in. Last podcast I did was with Cooper's dad. So it's important to me. I just like to talk about things that matter. So as soon as Ryan was like, yo, you want to come on the podcast? I was like, yeah, of course. I want to go.
I almost got in trouble. Actually, there's a funny story behind it. So I hit him up personally to do it because it's like, I didn't know. I forget that rock stars have channels to get through to them for sure. And my agent, Steve, who you know, hit me up and he's like, bro, you can't just go directly at him. I'm like, well, we're friends, Steve. Of course I can go directly at him. He's like, no, there's channels. And so
Steve's so funny, dude.
I got introduced to the channels, which thank you guys very much.
Shout out Steve Assman and the family
for making it happen. But
anytime Ryan Sheckler asks you to do anything, there's no channels involved. Yeah, just hit me up.
It was funny, man. I almost got in trouble.
I remember you called me, I forgot when it was. You were like, yeah, I just had a great combo with Jaden. Super nice kid, super humble, super down to earth. We got to have him on the pod. I was like, damn, that's dope. Like, because a lot of people that don't know people and they just get to relate to you from social or music, they might not really know who you are. They might have this perception of who you are.
That's the downfall, dude. Seriously, that's kind of what I meant at the beginning of like, that's why I like doing podcasts with a purpose and stuff, because, you know, you can go on and go do all these things online and talk about stuff that doesn't really matter. I've done enough of that in my life, you know.
I hear you.
You feel me? So
I've been there too, dude, and it's cool and it's refreshing to have someone like you with your energy and just like calm demeanor come in here and share your story with us just briefly, you know.
Of course.
I think where we're at right now is just like what's curious, and maybe for people that don't know exactly who you are, exactly what your come up was, is like, how did you break into everybody's lives? You know, like what was
I've had a lot of time to think about that recently. You know, I've had a crazy year, just a gnarly year. I think a year of growth, but not that I wanted it. You know, I think I was very tired of learning lessons. And so that's when I needed to learn more. I grew up in Dallas, and then I graduated high school from Tennessee, Chattanooga. And I always knew I was going to do something, dude. That's one thing I will never switch up on, is I always knew I was going to be something. I didn't know what I was going to be, but I felt that way, like I was born. You know, I feel like in all of our careers, people are born to do stuff, you know, and then fewer people will actually realize it, you know. And so everybody has a purpose, and I think I just realized mine early, that it was something bigger than where I was at. And so I was 17. This is before social media really blew up and shit. Like TikTok had just become a thing. And everyone in my high school area just like, we did not get along. I was also a little shit, so like I get it, but
yeah, fair enough.
I just wanted to get out. So when I found out you could make money like online, I was like, oh, of course. I was working at a fast food Italian restaurant and like a bakery and like mowing lawns and shit. And I was like, I'm out of here, you know? So I took the chance, every chance that I got for like, I'd say the first 6 months of getting online. And I got connected with other people that were online, and I started traveling around the country. Now, it sounds like it was all planned out, but it really wasn't. You know, it was very in the moment. You know, if one thing happened, I was just in the mode of saying yes.
Yeah.
So I traveled around the country. I was 18, and last place I was at with all these group of other kind of like influencers was Dallas, and there was a Juice WRLD concert. And I grew up super conservative, and I was like, I got to go to this concert. I've never been to a concert before. It was my first one. So I went. We were in the crowd and everybody was moshing, and I was having a great time, just kind of overtaken by like the idea of being at a concert. Like I just had never experienced it. And then he played this song called Empty, and the lines are, I'm empty, I feel so goddamn empty. And bro, I can't even explain. It was the most like euphoric experience I've ever had to this day. I just realized what music was. I was like, these people, 10,000 people aren't just singing the shit. Like they really feel it,
They're
you know?
feeling it, yeah.
Like I don't know this guy on stage. He doesn't know me, but it feels like we do. So immediately I was like, this is what I got to do. We had a driver that on this bus, and we were done like using the bus. Everyone was flying home and stuff. And I was like, yo, where are you going? He said, LA. And I was like, can I come with you? And he was like, yeah, sure. And I asked the only person I knew in LA if I could stay on her couch. This is the cool part. I got blessed a lot. So I grew up super, super poor. Like even more poor than I actually was. We just had a poor mentality, you know, me and my family. And so I was down to just like sleep on the floor. And I was like, can I stay at your house? The only girl I knew. And she was like, yeah, you can stay in my guest house. And I was like, guest house? I was like, what do you mean guest house?
LA.
And I pull up and her dad's like a Hall of Fame MLB baseball player. And they just gave me their like guest house to stay in for 6 months. And so I stayed there. I told my family, I'm chilling. I'm like, everything's good.
That's crazy, bro.
And I made my first single. In those like first 6 months, I got in with some producers like pro bono. And that was my first single I ever put out, Comatose. And then the next day, Travis Barker called my management team. And so that started everything.
That's so crazy, dude.
It was wild.
Yeah, that song charted too, right? 25 on US Rock. It was a good song.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was a crazy moment for me, and I think it was a crazy moment for the industry as well because things have happened off of Vine and YouTube, you know, and maybe even Instagram, but TikTok was so fresh at this time. No one had really reached that boundary of like kind of having a moment in the music industry from social media, and so it got a lot of attention with the labels. And obviously, at this point, we can look back and it seems like it's snowballed into something where the entire music industry is surrounded by social media, which I don't know how great that is now, but in the moment it was cool when it happened to me, you know. It was awesome.
For sure, dude. And it's just like, you know, like you said, you got blessed, you know, and we've talked about it too when we were chatting, that there's no real coincidences, you know, like we believe that we have a path.
Oh yeah, this was God's plan for sure, you know, like without a doubt it's a part of my destiny. And I've learned that, you know, there's destiny and there's things that are meant to happen for yourself, but you have choices, you know, and that's kind of what I had to be hit with when I came to LA is I had all these choices, and saying yes to everything only lasts for so long, you know? So it's been a pretty crazy journey.
Yeah.
I like that point.
Well, for sure. I mean, that's the beauty of like free will, you know, that's what the Bible talks about. It's like, yeah, you have the choice to do the right thing or to go experiment and see where that road takes you. Mm-hmm. But from enough experimenting, especially in my life, I know that road is dark and it's alone, and it can put you in some pretty interesting positions where you're actually questioning your life, or if you want to be here anymore. And that's a scary place, dude. And I know, you know, I got tons of friends in LA, and we know a lot of the same people. And I give props to anyone that can stay in LA and remain level-headed and do their deal and stay away from, you know, the riffraff. But I know it's hard, dude.
Oh yeah,
I know
tough.
It's hard.
It's very spiritual. Like there's a spirit over LA that is very like depleting, you know. Even when you're doing good things, like even people, I think this is a misconception for a lot of people that are outside of this industry or the world or LA in itself. I don't think there's a lot of malicious people that I know, and that's something that I was wrong about. You know, I don't think people are actively, consciously trying to do wrong things. I just think people are so ignorant and so consumed with what they want to happen that they end up hurting a lot of people and themselves without even knowing it. You know,
to
subconsciously.
Get where they want to go.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's definitely a tough place to live, but you know, I'm here, and I'm grateful to be here, and I'm grateful to still be alive and still moving. And this year already feels great. You know, 2024 feels good for me.
Yeah.
So.
What's going on, dude? What's going on? You mentioned it earlier. You're working on a documentary.
Yeah.
For a buddy that passed. Rest in peace, man. Sorry for your loss. I know he was a huge part of your life, but this is also a beautiful time to explain, like, you know, how dangerous that side of the world is. You know,
absolutely.
that addiction side that I'm no stranger to, and it can get you, bro.
Absolutely.
And like, so for you to bring awareness to that, especially with the following that you do have, and like the kids, man, you have obviously an adult following, but you have a very impressionable young audience that
Absolutely.
like is listening and will follow what you're saying and what you're doing. So if you could just like break that down a little bit for us and what that's all about, that'd be dope.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, that's something I've started to realize, you know, because I still feel like a kid, you know. I hope I always feel that way, but recently I've looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like, oh, I'm not a kid anymore, you know, like I'm a young man. And so there's just different responsibilities that come with that. You know, I look back at the stupid things I did when I first came out here, and while I do, I'm like, yeah, that's stupid, but I don't have regrets, you know. And that's the best part. And I think that someone that has that is has a great opportunity to help other people, because you can't help other people by making them, you know, feel shame and all this other stuff. Like I've done the worst things I can think of, you know, and that's why I hope to be a source of light for others, because if I can make it through it, you know, if I can move forward, everybody else can. But right now I'm working. I just finished my album, which is, man, if y'all knew what that meant, you know, like it's been 3 years since I put my last album out. I've gone through a lot of changes, a lot of insecurities and doubt. So to be done with the album is amazing. Me and Travis finished it. I have my first single coming out on my birthday, the 8th.
2 days.
Yeah, 2 days.
Let's go.
Which is really cool. I'll be turning 23, my Jordan year. Hopefully it can, dude, honestly, like I'm just happy to be alive. Like I really am. So, and being able to like put out some music that I made this album for me, you know, which is different than a lot of people are doing right now. That's a lesson I had to learn. If I don't make music for myself, then it's not going to do anything for other people. I heard people say, you know, if my own music doesn't give me chills, why is it going to give anybody else chills? So it took a lot to get there. I was really chasing a hit this past year because I was so like insecure and I was so just down about life, you know, losing my best friend. I wanted to fill that with like the success of seeing these numbers or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And in trying to do that, I was faced with such a real reality that is kind of the killer of art. The killer of art is chasing, you know, success, chasing a hit. And so with that, I called Travis, you know, and I was like, dude, we got to make this album just good. I don't want hits. I just want to make a good album. And so that's what we did. And the first song drops in 2 days. Yeah.
Beautiful. There's such a crazy correlation to what he was just talking about. I've used the reference, and I'm not a musician. I can't play any instruments. I love the drums, but just to bang on them, I got no rhythm. That's just a side part. But what I relate to and what you just said, this last video part that I just put out, the Red Bull one, it took me 3.5 years.
Oh yeah, you were telling me that. Crazy.
And when people were asking me about it, I was trying to like explain skateboarding to like in like layman's terms to people that don't understand skateboarding, and I'm like, it's my album.
Yeah.
This was my album that I had to see it from the start to the finish, and I wasn't doing this for you. I was doing this one for me. This video part was the first video part I've ever done sober.
Damn.
First video part I ever had complete control over. First video part I ever like checked every spot all over the place, had a game plan, and like went and attacked it. But the mind state that you're talking about is like, I wasn't looking for hits. I was looking for a feeling. I wanted the video part to be a feeling, this complete collection of just like, wow, that's like, for me, like, man, that's what skateboarding means to me, you know? And
you know, I'm doing one of the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Best video part I've seen in years.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
It's an inspiring.
It's inspiring, dude. It really is. It also feels nostalgic to a certain point. You know, it's cool.
That's the feeling. That's the feeling that I was looking for, and that's the feeling that I wanted, you know? And so, like, when I hear, you know, other artists like yourself talk about this project that's coming out, especially coming out like on your birthday, first single coming out on your birthday, that's huge, bro.
Yeah.
You know? And 23, dude, man.
Crazy.
So it's very young.
How good your head is on right now. And I know you've been through it, bro. And maybe we'll touch on what got you to this point where you're like, man, no, I'm not a kid anymore. I got to grow up. And what you also said too about like, we go through the mud and the dark times because God has a plan for us to be able to help other people through those times. So, you know, if you hadn't gone through what I went through, I'm not going to ask you like, hey, how'd you get through that?
Yeah.
Because you don't have the experience.
Yeah, exactly.
But knowing that you have the experience to get through an addiction, to get through, you know, a tough time, to get through a friend's death, like you might be the rock for somebody else to get them through that. And there's always a plan behind the pain, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you pay attention to the pain, you really see the life lesson in it. And the flip side of that is like, if you don't pay attention to the pain, you get deeper and darker and further away and more isolated from everybody that loves you.
Yeah, I've always felt that way. Like something I say to my fans a lot is, you know, there's purpose in the pain. Like I feel like as a society, we're kind of, and just as humans, our innate nature is to like run away from it, right? But going through pain is the most beneficial thing you can do for yourself. You know, I was talking to someone one time and they were talking about how wisdom comes from your failures. And while that's why a lot of people naturally, you just get wiser as you get older, because naturally you have more failures as you get older. But there's some people where they just are pushed into life, bound to failures that may not even have to do with them, you know, bound into a world that's just like unfair. And so they have the opportunity to sit in a wisdom that other people may not have at an early age. And so that's really that's kind of where I'm at in my life. You know, I'm always going to have fun, bro. I'm always going to have a good time. Like that's never not going to be the case. I've just gotten to a point where I realized what matters, you know. I was talking to my label yesterday because we were getting ready for this album, you know, and I told them, I realized the artist that I want to be. I knew at the beginning, you know, but when you get in it, like you said, we're in the mud, it gets kind of foggy. And especially, you know, when personal stuff happens in your life, I was just so uncertain of like who I was and what I wanted to be. And finally, recently, you know, I've just been so set in my ways of like, I'm going to be an artist that is unapologetic and has no filter on them, you know, and not in like a way of like watching what I say, but like, I don't need to cover myself in like vanity and whatever it is to try to impress my audience. You know, I'm going to be the artist that I want to be, or I'm not going to be an artist at all. You know, like that's just where I'm at in my life. And when you stand for something like that, everything you do feels a lot better. Because if you don't stand for anything, you know, you're kind of lost. And so it's
well, then you're just a puppet. You
know? Exactly.
And you could be a puppet, you know, people are every day, and you see them, you know, and you're like, man, it's a trip, because so many of these people that are being told what to do are actually really great humans and cool people, but like just kind of taken over by the flash.
That's what I was saying, dude. Like a lot of people aren't even malicious, you know, like in this world, I think people are just so lost. They don't know what to do. So they do what other people tell them to, you know, that's kind of like how it goes now.
Makes sense. I
mean, wisdom. 23, bro.
At your age, you seem so authentic, but you also seem so like retooled. Seems like everything you've gone through, like what Shek said, has allowed you to have this super clear conscience mind state. Like you really know where you want to go. You really know what it's going to take to get you there. You really know the roads you don't need to go down anymore. You know, whether that means it's going to be a harder road to success, you can do it your way. It's awesome. As you look at the landscape of social media, I know you come from that background. I know you were a part of one of the most like dynamic and, you know, I hate to use this word, but disruptive kind of social media cultures. And, you know, I had the boys all the time at my paintball parks and SC Village. They were always there, and I've known a lot of them for years. So I watched a lot of this kind of come through. But it seems you came out of this, like even during that time where the world shut down, 2020, you have amazing songs come out. It seems like you came out of it a completely different person, completely different artist. Your mindset's completely different. When most people, I think, failed more than anything, right? They let the world kind of beat them down and keep them there.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. How did you even make that transition? Because at that time, you guys were kings of social. I would have never thought of you to be this person you are today.
Yeah, I thank you first off. But I mean, you know, there's a lot of things where I don't have the answer, you know, I leave it up to God, you know, like I know that there is specific reasons why I should not be here and why I should not be in this position and maybe have the mindset I have right now. You know, I was really lost. But I can say I've always had a good heart, you know, I know where my heart lies, you know, I know where I come from. I know like who I serve. And so even when I'm convinced otherwise and I'm completely lost in whatever it may be, especially being a young kid moving to LA and not having any like responsibilities above me, you know, like trying to keep me down. I think that's what saved me. You know, I really have to, I don't have the answer of why it happened. I will say that I'm a diligent worker. I'm a creative person. I believe in myself more than anyone, you know, I don't think anyone else believes in me more than I do. And that's what carried me through those moments. You know, I wasn't scared of anything. I didn't have fear to do things. I wasn't scared to, fail. You know, I was who I was, and I think that worked out really great. That confidence takes you so much further. Confidence and kindness. Those are two things that when people ask me, how did you get here? And that's like my answer, you know? And it seems a little cliche, but I can give you specific examples of how both of those changed my surroundings, you know? And then this last year, I lost all of that. I lost all my confidence and I lost a lot of my kindness. And so
why?
My best friend passed away last year. He overdosed. And I'd say the initial reaction was just obviously shock. Like when you lose someone, this was the first time I'd lost someone that meant this much to me. And also like my age, you know, like he was my little brother, but he was only like 2-3 years younger than me. And so that was just like a mind fuck. You know, I was like, oh, this isn't forever. You know, we're not invincible.
Yeah, it's not a game.
It's not a game. Yeah. Like this is real sorrow, real pain. And so initially I kind of just like didn't think about it. And then as the year went on, it just kind of crept up and places I thought that I had healed, I definitely hadn't. And it all caught up to me. And there was a point where I just hated the world. You know, I hated everyone around me. I hated myself. And I didn't even know why, you know? And so it took a long year, you know, and that was ultimately the reason why I ended up going. I went to a treatment facility, the one that you went to in San Diego, Casa Palmera. And that was a big help for me just to take a break from everything and focus on things that help my mentality, like sobriety, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. So it's been a long year, a lot of ins and outs, a lot of ups and downs, but I made that choice because it was all I had left, you know? And now I can look back and be like, I think I'm stronger now because I lost it, you know, and I didn't give up, like we talked about.
Bro,
you know?
and shout out to you for going through all of that and then choosing the path that was the hardest one there. Because during that time, even though, yeah, you lost a friend, I know that like I've been there too. And like my mind initially wanted to go check out and I chose not to. Thank God. I was like already in a program and like I knew that was not going to work for me. But like, yeah, and shout out to Casa Palmera. Yeah. It's so funny, dude. That spot's a good spot, bro. It's a good facility to like get better.
My whole thing is I you know, even with my friend, because I know a lot of people even now in my life right now that struggle and, you know, with the idea of rehabilitation and stuff like that. I think the perspective of it is wrong. You know, it's not supposed to be easy. No, it's not supposed to be kind of like kind to you. You know, you're putting yourself in a situation that is uncomfortable on purpose, you know, to change your mindset. And whether you're struggling with severe addiction or you're just going for mental health, both, it's the same perspective. You know, you got to go in and put yourself somewhere that you haven't been to get a result that you don't have, you know? And
you have to go through the feelings.
Yeah, you got to.
You have to. That's the only way to find the other side of this, you know, this crazy street is like going through the pain, going through the feelings, and then like, unfortunately or fortunately, digging up the past and like the root of where like the problem started, you know, like my drinking problem came from me being super anxious about being around big groups of people.
Yeah.
I like being around groups of people that I was with that were my friends. But the second I got outside of that, I had this like overwhelming fear that I was always going to get jumped. I don't know where it came from.
Dude, that's crazy. I've had paranoia like that for like most of my life. Like, oh, I'm gonna like this person's gonna kill me. You know?
Always, bro. Even now today, if I'm walking solo and I see a group of like men like laughing and looking at me, like I instantly go into this like different
energy. Yeah,
like different energy. Like I'm gonna have to fight for my life, and it could have been from the MTV show. You know, there was a lot of...
I mean, yeah, you dealt with that a lot.
Well, the MTV show, too, was like while I was like coming out of high school, you know, and I was the only kid in high school that had a house.
You dealt with that.
Yeah, for sure.
And so like anywhere I went, you know, there was always that school or that crew trying to jump me, but my friends never let it happen. But it just became this like thing where like I still think today, and I like... Bro, I don't do anything that really pisses anyone off. No. Maybe my wife, she gets pissed off with some stuff, but you know, other than that, but that's still a fear. It's an irrational fear, but it's a fear, you know? And like, if I play into that fear, I could really go backwards.
Yeah, exactly.
I can go backwards, but people aren't trying to hurt me. And if they are, like, I can protect myself.
Yeah, exactly. And it's crazy how the mind works like that. You know, it just takes you to a place of uncertainty for everything, you know?
That's that demon, dude. It's always, you know, like, and I remember from recovery too, like, you know, my sponsors, like, that demon's up there. No matter how long like you stay sober, that demon's up there training,
doing burpees. Yeah, that's what
training.
they always said.
It's training, you know, and it's ready and it's waiting for me to like be able to like get weak enough and isolate just enough to like think that having a drink is a good idea. And it's not. And I know I play that tape out and I'm like, man, my daughter and daughter to come, like never have to see me loaded ever, you know, and that's what I want. I don't want them to see me impaired or change or like say something to their mother that's like not kind or rude, you know, like, but I wouldn't know that that's what I wanted unless I had been through that experience.
Yeah.
Kind of like what you were talking about. Dude.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I think environment takes a big role, you know, like who you're around, what you're around, why you're around it. And so being in LA in the industry that I'm in, after everything that I feel like I've gone through, it's hard because you know certain things will help you do better. Oh, if I go to this party and network, if I am around these people, the reality is that it's kind of like a rat race in this world, and that's what would be the easiest way to get what you want. And that's where I'm at, where I'm like, I don't want easy, you know? And to me, in my mind, how I grew up, nothing good comes easy. You know what I mean? And so
it doesn't.
I think going a different route, you know, and even with my music and stuff, just taking things, because music is in a totally different lane right now, dude. It's so different. Even from when I started, like, I know I'm a little bit of a novice, and like, I came into the world of music a very specific way through social media, but bro, it is night and day different from when I had my moment 2-3 years ago to now. Like, it's not the same world. It's not it's not about music, you know? So I'm trying to be a pioneer of sorts to bring, I don't think I'm going to be the only one, but for me personally, I'm like, I got to make music about music. You know, that's what I want to do in my life. And it's a hard battle, but that's where I'm headed, you know? Yeah.
Well, and you got, you know, Travis Barker, Kels, like, what is, you know, those are, Kels is my,
two legends.
He loves you, bro.
Kel's my guy. Yeah. We've known each other since we were 18.
Yeah, he loves
you. I watched him give you one of his XX chains at your house party.
Yeah,
when everybody was going nuts. Yeah, it was like
still have that
10 years ago.
I have that
a
one.
week before 4th of July.
I normally lose things like that, but you know, Kel's is.
This is like when Kel's and Jess got on the scene. Yeah.
So that's what I'm
blasting him.
I only bring that up just because, like, what you're saying about being, you know, disruptive pretty much in the music space right now and being like very focused and determined to like have your sound be your sound no matter what. Kels is that same very way. Travis is that same very way. And the fact that you three, you know,
it's really cool.
Our friends, you know, like
squad.
That's the squad to be able to actually make it disruptive and like do what you guys want to do.
Yeah.
Like, how have those guys received you?
Oh man. So funny enough, whenever, and this sounds like Kels, so you'll understand, whenever I signed with Travis, right? And I met with Travis, all the other labels like brought me in, they were like tried to put on this show or whatever it was. Travis just brought me to his restaurant and we didn't really talk about anything. We just talked about life. And then after we ate food at his vegan restaurant, which was also fire, and I'm like from the South, so vegan food being fire, I was like, oh, this has got to mean something, you know what I mean? And
it's really come a long way.
Yeah, it's come a long way.
Yeah.
And so he took me in his truck, and he played me songs with Kels and Dom Youngblood. And he just looked at me. He was like, "Yeah, we could do this." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And that's all it took for me. And so I think like our relationship started authentic. You know, I was like, he's the only person that didn't try to fucking bullshit me. You know, and so that was a really cool moment. And since then, he's just been like a father, mentor figure. You know, because I don't have like a dad in my life, and he's very aware of that. He's also just a great father to his kids.
Yeah.
So naturally, I think he just took me in that way. And then when I met Kels is such a funny guy. The first 4 times me and Kels met, it was like therapy sessions. Like kind of like when we talked at the party, like that, but you know how Kels is. And we got deep fast. And I think he was almost like seeing, like we're like testing the waters with me, because I was just kind of staying with him in the conversation because I really enjoyed deep conversation. And then whenever I found out I was going to be the direct opener for Kels on his Tickets tour. So I found out from my team and stuff. I go into the studio and I'm like, yeah, dude, I found out that I'm opening up for Kels. And Travis is like, oof, I need to tell you something. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, you're off the tour. And I was like, what? And then he was like, yeah, dude, I don't know. I heard from one of his assistants. And I was like, oh, fuck, dude. I was like, no way. And so I was all sad and bummed out. And Kels, like, I didn't know. And then a week later, right, And we get a text and they're like, you're back on the tour. And we were like, so it was just a whirlwind of emotions. And I was like, all right, cool.
Were you ever off? Like,
I don't know. So I found out that my agent, Matt Meyer, love Matt. He's a great dude. Now he has me and Kels, which is really cool. But he was talking to Kels, and Kels just was unsure of me. Like we talked about, like my image online, like I admit it, bro. If I saw myself honestly, like online, I would have been like, no, I'm not fucking hanging out with this kid. I just did the stuff online because it worked, you know, it was like working.
Yeah.
But Kels was like, I don't know, dude. Like I had never performed before. Like I had never done anything. And he was about to put me on this amphitheater, like 15,000 people, direct opener. Like I would need a little more convincing. So I get it. But he's like, I'm not doing this. And Matt Meyer's like, you're wrong. And Kels is like, all right, but if I'm wrong, you're fired. To Matt Meyer. And Matt Meyer was like, okay, first show in Minneapolis. We do the show. Kels brings me up.
Did like people go crazy?
Immediate, yeah, it was wild, bro. It was just the craziest. It was the craziest feeling in the world. He brought me up, and
Let's go back a second. What was that feeling like? I've always been like, I'm super interested. Like, what is that feeling like standing in front of 15,000 people that are staring directly at you and like giving you energy?
I'd say kind of from a third person perspective, I've always thought about like it's a little inhumane, you know, like people almost like worshiping you, dude. It's pretty crazy. Like but it is the best feeling in the world. Like without a doubt, there's no drug, there's no anything that could ever compare. Because it feels almost divine, you know, like you're on stage and you're singing from your heart, like me and Kels both do. I think that's a very important part as well. I don't feel like I'm performing. I feel like I'm just like singing my own music if I was alone. Mm-hmm. And that's what it feels like to me, honestly. In the moment, you obviously see the people, but when you think back to the memory, I never remember the crowd. I only remember the stage, you know, like I can see myself almost. But that first moment, bro, it just was like, you know how it feels when you're a kid and you're just having fun and there's no second thought about it. That's what it was like. But that whole tour was just the best tour. I've gotten to do 3. That first one was the best experience of my entire life. So I couldn't have asked for a better intro into this world of music. And also just Kels and his camp made it worth it. You know, he treated me like a brother.
All the boys.
Bro, he treated me like a brother off rip, you know, and like Slim and Baze and Rook, bro. Like obviously now we're all very close. But I was just this kid, you know, and I was just being me. You know, I was 20. Was I 19? I was 20. I was 20, and I was just like, I'm here with my boys.
What a great squad.
Youngster.
What a great squad to tour with.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy. Guys. It was crazy.
Yeah, 20. So 3 years ago, yeah, he was still Kels.
He's still Kels, bro.
So sorry for interrupting. I just I've been curious about that because it's way different in my realm of like stadium. There's like people going. People have a favorite, and it's not the same as like a music.
It honestly feels like you just black out. You know, like in the moment you're very aware and you're like, what's going on? But looking back, it's very hard to remember. It's just over. You know, and I've done probably like 200 shows, and I feel that way almost about every single show. You know, it's just kind of. I think that's what it means to be in the moment, you know? I imagine like right before you drop, you know, or whatever it is, like that feeling, as soon as you go, that's what it feels like. Yeah, exactly.
For you, huh?
Yeah, it's slow-mo. My heart's racing, everything's going, like my breathing's a little shallow.
What tour was that? Tickets to My
Downfall, yeah. The greatest tour of all time,
dude. Did you see him at the Roxy or something? Did you
I did my first show at the Roxy. Okay, so this is the timeline.
I think you were with me. It was like a year ago, 2 years ago. I don't know.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
I think you were with me.
3 years ago.
Yeah. It was at the Roxy.
Oh, right? Last year. Yeah, I did another show last year. Was I wearing a skirt?
Like a kilt?
Yes.
Something like that, right? Like an Irish kilt or something? I think you were with me.
I was wearing a skirt.
It was like a private show or something, right?
Yeah, it was basically I did like 3 club shows because I hadn't performed in a while. So I did one in LA, Chicago, and New York.
It was the one in LA.
In between my tours
what
that
a
I
trip,
did.
Dude.
Yeah, because Rook was just at Jackson. Rook was doing that drum commercial for me.
That's right.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, and I remember I was like, all right, cool, let's go see what's popping over there.
Damn, Rick's the boy. I love him so much, dude. Yeah. He's a good friend.
Rook?
Yeah, he's a great dude.
One thing I want to ask, and one thing I think a lot of people want to touch on, is a guy like Travis Barker, like one of the most legendary, let's say, artists, entertainers, right? Now he's obviously like a pop cultural icon that's just never going away and ever. then you have Kells, who's like on the other side of this guy, who's basically like reinvents genres like weekly, and does whatever he wants, and then just sets radio on fire, sets mainstream media on fire, does whatever he needs. How do you like keep that confidence level working with two guys like that? Like for artists that are listening to this, like you have to go into this studio obviously with the same level of confidence you have to put out a good song and to record. But what's that process like working with those two?
Well, he kind of talked about it, man. He just wants to be.
But I mean, like in the studio, like are they telling you? Like are they the one like
it's
directing you on what to do?
I've
gotta be a unique situation.
I've learned a lot. You know, I think that my confidence is a great way to manifest the dreams that I have, the dreams that I constantly think about. But like we talked about before, wisdom is so important. And when I first came into this, I had no clue about anything. So it was actually the perfect kind of equation of my blissful ignorance about music. I didn't have any predisposed idea of what should be right, and their wisdom of what is right was like the perfect storm to create wonderful things. And that was what Travis told me when he first met me, was like, so funny enough, when we met, he was like, did you listen to punk music growing up? And I was like, no, because I didn't, dude. I grew up like super conservative in the church, and my parents, I listened to like church music and maybe radio sometimes. So when I was growing up, it was like Iggy Azalea and stuff like that, you know? So I had no really, I love Justin Bieber too. I was allowed to listen to Justin Bieber, the boy. And so that was where my music inspiration came from. And so when I met Travis, he was like, and I wanted to make rock music. He was like, did you listen to it? And I was like, no. And he goes, perfect. And I was like, why perfect? He was like, that's the most punk thing I've ever heard. And he was like, you don't know anything. You're this clay of mold, and I'm going to mold you into what you need to be. And I was like, perfect. That's exactly what I need. So it was very mentorship-esque. And with Kells, I think me and Kells, Kells is what I'm not, and I'm what Kells isn't. You know, we complement each other very well. I look up to him, and he knows that. I'm not scared to tell him how much I value him. I'm not scared to give him affection and shower him with praise, because that's my boy. That's just how I am as a human being. I don't think a lot of people do that with him, you know, because he is a very like powerful presence, you know, and people may think that he has what he needs in his head, like he knows what to do, you know. But I just like to be a voice for that. Like I love to tell him how great he's been to me, whatever it is.
And he's human, bro.
And he's human, you know, and we all have our life. But Kells has showed up for me every single time, even when I didn't ask. You know, like he has been there for me more than anybody, you know. So it's honestly the best duo I could have asked for, you know, and they also feel the same way about each other. So it's been awesome. In the studio, I'll do my thing. And if Travis is like, you should do this, I trust him, because Travis knows. I've never seen Travis be wrong, honestly, like 4 years of knowing him. So it's pretty cool.
That's the praise for
Are
Travis.
you three going to do an album together?
So this is my thing. We went on tour together. Me and Kells, I don't think there's a better duo, honestly. Like I really don't. I think that agree. Even on stage and our presence together.
No, the energy's insane.
Yeah, that's a good duo. Bro.
Thank you, dude. I appreciate it. We only have one song, and I don't know. This next album, I have no features on it. It's just me, and I did that on purpose, just because, you know, it's a power statement for myself. Like I said, I made it for myself. But in the future, like, I want to make more music with Kells. I also want to go on tour with Kells again. And I tell him all the time. We were in South America, and I was like, one of the fans was like, you should go on tour with Jaden again. I was like, I'm coming with you everywhere, bro. He was like, trust me, I already know everywhere that I show up, I know you're going to be there. So hopefully more and more in the future, just because he's my boy. I just have fun with him. You know what I mean? Sometimes it feels like work, and sometimes it feels like fun. And with him, it always feels like fun. So,
bro, just think back to like memories with Kells, bro.
Dude, I think back to the stories Kells tells us. Every time we're around him, he has another story, and he loves to tell us a good story, you know? So it's
he's lived quite a few stories.
Yeah, dude lived everything. He's been
lived
through
quite
everything.
A few stories.
There's so many. Yeah, I'm like thinking back now, and I'm like, bro, even just when Wild Boy.
God, I love that song.
When Wild Boy came out, you know, like I've been a fan of Kells before I met him. Mixtape stuff.
Yeah.
Because my boy Tony Panici always had the line on all these mixtapes that were coming out, and Kells was one that we were like, man, who is this kid? And then I met him at X Games when I was 18, and we became friends right off the rip. Like, you got to ask him about that story.
Yeah, well,
it's not really for the podcast, but we became friends right off the rip, and pretty soon after that, he dropped Wild Boy, and right when he dropped it, I heard it like 2-3 times. He sent it to me. I got it tattooed on my chest.
So sick.
And then he came over to my house. And like at that point, I was a little bit more out of control, like a bit more out of control than Kels was.
Yeah.
And the first time he came over to my house, I knew he was coming. And when he opened the door, I had Wild Boy playing, and I was breaking every single like bowl, plate, glass, anything I had in my house that would break, I broke it, and I like everywhere. And that was the first time he came over and was like.
He probably loved that, dude. Oh, you know,
he loved it. But then, dude, there was times he would tell me he was like worried about me, and like knowing Kels and knowing how crazy he is.
Yeah, if he's telling you that, you're like, whoa.
And he was saying he was worried about me. Like it really meant a lot to me.
Yeah,
I was like, damn, okay, I got to figure some stuff out. And you know, we had a long run of like being Wild Boys together. But at 25 is when I first started trying to get sober. And it was a battle for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, once I turned 30, it was over. I was like, that's it. I'm doing this. I'm doing this deal. And yeah, coming up on 4 years now. But
congrats, man.
Yeah. That's all good. It doesn't really matter. Like I heard something so powerful. It's like I really don't even keep track of the days because it's a behavior that I just don't partake in anymore. So I'm not like keeping track of the days to be like, oh, I made it to 5 years. Like now I can do it again.
Yeah, you just don't do it anymore.
I just don't do it anymore.
Mindset's different.
I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter the time. It's like it's the behavior that I've changed and taken out of my life. And I'm so blessed and fortunate to be able to have done that or been dark enough and down enough to like see that I needed to change.
Yeah.
But if the people around me who love me didn't tell me that I was having a problem and that I was actually causing them harm, I probably wouldn't be here.
No, I feel that 100%. I mean, the same thing with Kels. I think Kels is very much so. He's always there for people, you know. Same when my best friend passed away and he knew I was really down bad, especially like in that dark hole with drugs and stuff. He was just there for me, you know. If it was on the phone, he was there on the phone calling me, you know, when I was at my worst. He also like brought me up at MSG to perform his song Lonely on my best friend's birthday after he passed. And so that's just like anybody that can do that, dude.
I saw that. That was crazy.
That's his moment, you know, that's his moment at MSG, and he shared that with me and my best friend, you know. That's just like you can't pay for stuff like that. And that, I think stuff like that speaks to who he is more than anything else anyone else could see online, you know. So that's cool for me.
That's a crazy thing to share a moment like MSG with someone. Like
wild.
That says a lot about someone.
I wear cargo pants and a hoodie, bro. It's sick. Like every time he's brought me up, he's so funny. I'll go to his shows. We were in a show in Anaheim down here at the arena. I forgot what it's called down here.
Over there, the hangar by the Honda Center.
Yeah. And I'm wearing a wife beater and sweats, and I'm like sagging, and he's getting his ears in 5 minutes before he goes up. He's like, hey, you want to come play a song? And I was like, what song? He was like, oh, just pick one. And I was like, okay, you want me to sing one of your songs with you? And he was like, yeah. And so I went up and sang Bloody Valentine with him, just in my sweats and shit, you know, like, I don't know, that to me. I was
at that show.
Yeah, I think you might have.
I remember your outfit. I was like,
yeah.
Who is this guy?
Bro, it was so funny. I was wearing like my DTA chain, a wife beater, and sweats. It was so funny.
No, that's exactly what you were wearing.
But that was kind of like, even going back to what we were talking about before, like that was a moment in my life, dude, I just had confidence, you know, like I don't need to do much, you know. And then this past year, I felt like I needed to do so much. And that was like kind of the difference, the complete polar opposite, like, oh, I care about what I like look like and all this stuff. And so it's nice to kind of be back on the other side again, where I'm just, you know, I wear what I wear. But yeah, those were cool moments for me.
That's dope, dude.
Yeah. I wonder what a career like yours, does it make it difficult? Does it create obstacles having, you know, a star caliber girl in your life, or like dating someone of that level?
Dude, anytime you're just dating in this world, I think that, you know, there's more obstacles than not. Especially when you're a kid, like I have been with mainly my first two girlfriends. You know, I was just a kid and I made poor decisions and stuff. And I have to admit that and be like, that's real life, you know, on both sides. That's what happens. This relationship's a little different. You know, honestly, she's more of a woman, you know, and she has more self-control and just like more identity in herself. And she's really been there for me more than I could ever imagine. I love her so much. She's like my best friend, you know, and so we've also had our ups and downs in the relationship, but we just never gave up, you know, and that's the difference, I think, you know. And now, like at this point, we a little over a year we've been together, and we've had times where we like weren't together maybe for like a month or whatever. But it doesn't feel that way. You know, it feels like I've just found someone that is very important in my life, and someone that I would do anything for, you know, and she feels the same way. And so we're at a cool point now where it's like balancing like the lives that we both have. And she's actually, I have to give her props. She's made these past 2 months, she's really made an effort because she knows I've had such a hard year to be there for me and just be supportive and like, you can do this. She believes in me more than anyone, like genuinely. And when you have a girl that can say that to your face, you know, you think like, oh, that's expected, but it's not. Like she really knows that I'm going to be the star that I'm meant to be. And also just there for me and like all the little things that I don't care about, like my birthday or anything like that. So it's actually worked out perfectly. But all relationships are hard. If you think a relationship's going to be easy, you're just stupid. You know what I mean? You don't.
Get into one.
Yeah,
That's all you have to do.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Also, too, with the way that you go about yourself, you could definitely tell that just because you're young, though, you have a lot of maturity and respect, so it probably makes it easier.
I think it helps out some, yeah. Not when I'm still messy and shit, though, so I'm working on that, you know? I don't know if that'll ever go away, but...
What, like your house hygiene?
Dude, like, it's not, like, dirty. Like, I'm never, like, trashing stuff easily, you know? But clothes, like, I have such a hard time with, like, folding clothes and shit like that. But I've been working on it, so...
you guys live together?
Yeah, I spend most of my time at her place in Sherman Oaks, and I also have an apartment in West Hollywood. Nice. With my boy, but I'm actually about to get a house out in the Valley because I hate living in an apartment, and I'm paying the same amount of money for an apartment that I could get a house out in the Valley, and it's just like...
That'd be your first house?
I've had houses before with, you know, roommates and stuff. Did I own Studio City? No, I own Glen. Yeah, I've definitely had houses now that I'm thinking about it. I've only lived in houses in LA, but I've moved like 7 times, dude. Because I lived with a group of guys, you know, when we all lived in Sway. And then once we all kind of like started making our separate ways after I got arrested when I was 19. I know, crazy life. Is
that with Bryce?
Yeah, with Bryce.
Yeah.
Funny guy. We all kind of like got our own houses and stuff. So I've had a few, you know.
Are you still close with any of those guys?
Yeah, I'd say that I close is not like what I would say, but we have that close relationship because of our past, you know? Like if I were to call them up, you know,
tie.
Yeah, exactly. If I were to call them up, they're like, you know, what's up? But we don't spend as much time together anymore. I think we're all in our own world. And but yeah, my best friend Quentin, he still lives with me, and so he was a part of the house as well. And that's my boy. Like, I love him. Like, I'll take care of that kid for as long as I can. It was me, him, and Cooper were like the trio, my other best friend that passed away. So, and that's also been a cool thing of like, after Cooper passed away, I really isolated myself, you know, just from everybody. Because, like I said, my heart got cold. I just didn't like people. But he's someone that, no matter how much time apart we spend from each other, as soon as we see each other, it's like boys. He's like one of the only people in my life that I have that with, you know, where you see him and you're like, oh my God. Yeah. But these past few months, we've been hanging out so much more because I just realized the value of friendship, you know, and I think my heart's finally ready to like fully put that back into the people around me, you know.
It helps.
Hey man, to each their own time, you know. It's crazy, you know, and the fact that you're able to talk about this loss and like the fact that you're doing something about it to like bring awareness to what it is, because it is a absolute huge problem that is going on right now in the world, especially with kids, with adults. Like, you know, this fentanyl is no joke, and it's taking people out left and right. I see it. I see it.
It's so devastating, dude. Yeah, today while we're down here, actually, I don't know how much I can say about it, but I'm working on producing like a documentary with Cooper's family about the whole situation with fentanyl and also just Cooper's life and his story. And so I'm really excited about that. That's also, it's cool for me because this is also another way that I get to talk about it. I've only ever talked about it, like I said, on his father's podcast. And just because it's a weird thing to talk about, you know, especially online. There's this veil online behind the screen that like makes makes important things seem less important and makes things that don't matter seem like they're the biggest deal in the world. And it just jumbles people's brains. And so I've been very cautious about talking about it and everything, but I'm finally ready. And I think in this way, in this form, it will actually impact people in how it should, you know? So I'm
we won't. We're not going to dive into it. I just wanted to mention that, like, I think it's a really cool and really powerful thing that you are going to do with that.
Yeah,
and,
thank you, man.
And it's definitely going to be appreciated by people all over the world because unfortunately that's not a unique situation.
Yeah, sadly.
Which sucks.
It's the worst shit in the world, dude.
So
especially bringing light to it in a positive way that can have some structure where you're not just trying to get clickbait headlines. Like that's all the media does, but they don't give anything of value to help people get out of the hole.
Man, that's the thing nowadays. Online, bro, it's just so devastating. Like even cool things like just can't be cool anymore. They have to be like a screen grab, you know, or like it has just become so. And I think more and more people are aware of it, which is a cool thing. But this is something they taught us in Casa is like awareness without action is nothing. And so I think a lot of these people are aware. Like even with the Grammys and stuff, I don't know if y'all watch the Grammys, but you know, Killer Mike.
Got arrested. Why did he get arrested?
I don't know, dude. I want to know. Do y'all know at all?
Won 3 Grammys and then got arrested.
And then got arrested. What a way to ruin your night, you know?
I mean, but
or add to it. Like who knows?
He probably didn't even care because Killer Mike's very outspoken.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
I just watched the Grammys and I'm like, dude, it's not the same anymore. And I think a lot of people are feeling that way. It's not the same.
Jay-Z wasn't flowing with it.
Oh, dude, I loved that. I loved it.
Kanye.
Yeah, he did. I loved it, honestly.
Like, how does Beyonce win every single Grammy but never won Album of the Year? That the math don't add up. It's kind of true though.
It's true.
How does she win every category but then she doesn't win Album of the Year?
Bro, anything that's like that award show style where a group of people who are not in the industry, whether it's skate, music, polo, whatever, bro. It's never gonna be like you need to have artists that are doing it. You need to have skaters that are voting. Like,
dude, I feel that we literally talk about that.
It's all subjective
all the time.
to like whoever, you know, and honestly, who's getting paid.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's all definitely disingenuous and it's not cool. And I hope more people talk about it and more people just, you know, I don't know what the exact course of action is to change it, but there's got to be something. So continuing just to move forward.
Just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Do exactly what we talked about over this last hour. Just keep doing you the way that you are doing it because you're making an impact. You're helping people grow. You're growing yourself. You're 23 years old, bro, and you've got a lot of life to go and a lot of
Lord willing.
You will, bro, because you have something to offer other people. You do, dude. Like beyond the music, beyond the content, it's the actual wisdom. You talked about it in the very beginning. You have wisdom. You are an old soul. You've been through a lot. And everything that you've been through is going to help somebody else get out of something or make it through something without doing something stupid.
Yeah.
So
that's the best part.
Keep doing what you're doing, bro.
I appreciate that, man. I will. I mean, this is cool for me too, you know, just to like find more relationships like we've started is a rare thing. That's something I don't know, you said something earlier that reminded me of like, you're talking about kind of what I've learned and stuff. What I've learned is that I don't know anything, you know? And I think when more people can realize that, it's actually the key to like understanding where you're supposed to go is when you realize you don't know everything, you know? And it also takes the pressure off of yourself. That's something I kill myself with is the pressure and the anxiety to always do something bigger or be greater or caring about how other people perceive me, you know?
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate that. And that actually means a lot to me. I hold on to that stuff. And it's nice that I get to go back and look now at our conversation. Stuff like that is cool for me. Because like there's always just bullshit online. So knowing that we have like a cool conversation online is like my favorite thing.
About.
And man, and what you just talked about, you know, like we've talked about God and we've talked about Jesus too in our previous conversation. But one of the main sins, bro, is comparison. We can't, bro. We're all unique. We're all different.
Absolutely.
I can't be you. You can't be me. No one can be Bear.
No.
And like that's beautiful, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So like if you stay in your lane, just like you talked about, and just like do you, and just keep making moves, keep going forward. You don't have to be anyone else, man. You are you.
Yeah,
and
I appreciate that.
That's what's beautiful, and that's what's gonna help people. And no, I was super stoked that we got to get in here and sit down. You know, and
y'all don't even know what I have underneath this table, dude. Y'all would freak out if you saw what I have.
Oh.
Can I show them?
Yeah. What do we got?
Dude, this is the craziest.
I just gave him one of my actual boards that I skate with.
Dude, what?
I've seen him just do the gnarliest things on this board.
But that's a 1 of 100 with that graphic. So it's just something, bro. It's like
it means a lot to me, dude. You understand? I'm actually
I could have gave you a brand new one, but it's like it's kind of more fun.
I don't want a brand new one,
like
dude.
If I get a guitar,
like a personally,
I want it 100%. To be played. You know?
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Same thing. I was like, dude, I wish I got one that was yours.
I'll skate one up for you, and I'll get you one, bro.
Yeah, it's just perfect. Like it looks, you know, you can tell that it's been ridden, and people will know it definitely was not ridden by me.
You gotta go down to a skate park in San Clemente and learn how to skate.
Dude, I'll do it. I'll that's one thing I will. I always send it. Look, I may not land anything, I may not do anything, but I'll send it. I'll bust my ass.
This is the key
like,
of sending it.
Yeah,
so be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, not on that level.
Yeah,
no.
Lake Powell sent me to the sky like 50 feet in the air.
But I always tell my friends, bro, and I'll tell you too, you know, because when I skate with my bros, unless we are there to film something, I don't film.
Yeah.
I like, if you come skate, we're not going to film.
Yeah,
we're going to be in the moment skating.
It's very true.
I love that.
There's going to be something that happens where we'll be like, oh, I would have been tight to have that film. But that's not about it, dude. It's not about having everything documented on camera. There has to be moments. And what I've realized in my life, there has to be moments that are mine and my friends that I'm sharing the moment with. This, for sure. This is dope. Like, we film, we get it out because people want to hear this. But, like, on a day-to-day basis where, like, we got people hanging out,
that's so true.
That's our moment.
That's so true, dude.
That's our moment.
I feel the exact same way. You know, it's almost been a disadvantage sometimes because, you know, before my life was just social media, but I think I grew such a callous towards it that, like, I never spend time on my phone at all, even when I need to, you know. But it's been a blessing. I always tell people, for me in my life, like 90% of music is made outside of the studio, you know. It's that 10% is just when you go in and you let it out. Yeah. But you're living that song outside, you know, those relationships, the heartbreak, whatever it is. So I feel like it's the same thing. If you're not having your moments alone with you and your board, you know, and you and your boys, whatever you do on the camera is not going to be anything, you know. Amen. It's not going to matter. So
there's just no heart to it.
Yeah.
There's no heart at all.
No, and it's 100% true what you said too. I just want to touch on that as we get ready to wrap this podcast up. You know, definitely one thing I love about him is that you're so focused on being in the moment. Most people aren't. Like me, I'm always on my phone talking nonsense, filming people, doing jokes. But he's very cautious at saying, like, hey, let's have a moment to ourselves. Let's have a moment to just, like, be with each other, be present. Because people lose that idea of being present. We have no concept of being present in 2024.
At all.
Zero. So when you have people around you that can bring you back down to earth and be like, yo, it's okay. You don't need to be on your phone. The likes can wait. The money can hold on. Don't check the Shopify. Don't look at your email. When you can kind of balance all that, it actually makes you stronger because it makes you appreciate those things. It makes you more efficient. As we get ready to wrap this up, one thing I want to know is this EDM scene. We saw you perform at SoFi. Can you break down what's going on here and how you're getting involved with all this?
Man, it's cool. It's so funny, man. Like, I would like to say that, you know, I am like a savant of like making good connections and like, you know, being able to navigate and maneuver. Things have just came to me, you know, and they've taken time. Illenium, this happened over a year ago, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, when we made this song. So it's been takes time and patience. I spent time with Illenium. He's also a good dude, you know, so I think that's why it works out. I've never done something with someone that I don't also believe in as a person. I think that's important, you know, and I hope to continue to stay that way in my career. Yeah. Because it just creates a better energy. The EDM scene is fucking gnarly, dude. Like, I love my community. I love our community. Like, you know, they get down, you know, they're themselves. They have a good rowdy time. But when I walked out on that stage, bro, I was like, oh, this is different, dude. Like, I saw Beyonce in the same stadium like months and months before last year. And they were all great. You know, it was an awesome show. Like, probably one of the best shows I've ever seen. Fans were awesome. But, dude, the energy, they're all just honestly like rolling face and they're just so locked into the music. Like, dude, they love it, bro. And as soon as I walked out, dude, I couldn't hear anything in my ears. Yeah. And I haven't performed in a while. And that song is just honestly not fun to sing for me because it's so like, I'm a singer at heart, you know? And it's so just like, almost like automated sounding, you know? Like, it's not, I don't know what it is about it, the song, but I just don't like singing it. So the whole time I'm thinking, like, man, I just gotta like, all I want to do is sound good, right?
Yeah, just do it.
And I walk out and my pack's not working. And I'm like, oh, well, fuck it. So I just couldn't hear anything the whole time. And I just sang. And it was honestly probably even better that it happened that way because I was just staring at these people singing these lyrics back to me. And I'm like, it's so bizarre to me that this is
crazy.
able to happen, you know, like, I don't know. I'm just blessed, dude. Yeah. It's really cool that I've had the opportunity to come out to a SoFi, to come out to an MSG. But something else it did for me is I'm a big manifester, you know. That is how I am here in my life. Without a doubt, it is me and my connection with God. And like, I can see what is happening in the future when I lay down at night and when I think about stuff. And I know that that's why it comes to pass. Mm-hmm. With certain milestones, right? You know, like MSG and SoFi. I've pictured myself being there. And I don't remember MSG because it was such an emotional night. And like, I was really in the moment, like we're talking about. So it's very kind of one of those blackout situations. This last show at SoFi, I had a moment of realization where I was like, oh, this is what I manifested for, but this isn't it. You know, this is just a bonus that I get in my life, that I get to come out and perform with Illenium. My time still isn't here yet, you know, and I realized if they asked me to perform at SoFi tomorrow, if they told me that everyone would be there and it's sold out, I wouldn't do it. And I say that 100% certainty in my heart because I'm not ready, dude. I don't have that story, you know, like I watched Beyonce perform at the stadium and it made me realize why certain artists can't perform at SoFi. Not because they can't sell tickets, because they can't put on the fucking show that needs to be put on. And I'm not going to put myself in that situation until I know that I have the bandwidth to leave people better than when they came.
Yep.
And so that was a cool moment for me to just kind of have peace about the moment, you know, be like, man, I just get to enjoy this and it's not even mine yet. Like that's such a blessing, you know, it's just a sample.
It's good, the good faith sample for being a good person.
So it definitely lit it lit my fire up a lot, you know, especially getting ready for this album and everything. I'm very excited about the album, more excited than I've ever been about music. And it's because I've worked so hard for it. I've worked so hard to overcome a lot of shit. And that was a cool fucking night. Dude, the eating, that shit was crazy. I would go to the show. I've never been to a show like that. I would go just as a fucking fan. Like it was awesome, dude.
It looked nuts. One of the guys that works here, he went and he had a little video, J-Bone. Jarrett, and I was watching, and I was like, wow, this guy's next level. Because I've been to EDC with Pasquale. I've done the whole thing. I'm like, okay, I've seen all shows I need to see. And then I saw this guy, and I'm like, wow, this
dude, and he was playing some heavy stuff, too. Like, out of nowhere, bro. Like, heavy, like, death metal, like, EDM. It was so cool, dude. Like, I don't know. I love that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just a little skinny white boy, but I love, like, heavy shit. You know what I mean? It's like the thing that scratches the itch in my brain the right way. So it was cool.
When it's that loud.
Oh, when it's that loud and just in your face, dude. Like
I like shows where my ears are ringing for like 3 days after.
That's dude.
I know I got my fix. You know, I'm like, all right.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll work. Show for Sheckler.
The gnarliest show I ever saw was Metallica.
Oh, really?
That's a good one.
Yeah, in San Diego, Petco Park, years ago.
Whoa, crazy.
Loudest, most like psycho show I've ever been
to.
The
OGs, dude.
Yeah.
Bro, like heart shaking sound. Just
no way. That's so sick.
There's not been anything that's topped it.
That's the difference too. I mean, like live shows are so valuable, you know, and I've been blessed to do as many as I have, you know, but that is something I constantly crave. And I did 200 shows on one album. You know, I played the same album for 2.5 years straight. So to be able just to have new music coming, new music that I know will resonate with my fans that I have and new fans.
Yeah.
Like that's all I care about. I'm like, dude, I just can't wait to step on the stage and sing different songs because it gets old. Like I love my music, but it gets old. I'm like 4 years older than I was, you know, when I put it out. So I'm super stoked about all that. And just like, I need y'all to come to my next show.
Oh, we're there. Oh, we're there for sure.
It's gonna be, dude. It's gonna be an experience for you guys. If you were there at the show where I was wearing that skirt, funny by the way. If you've never worn a skirt, try it. It's really fun.
Was it a skirt?
Yeah,
it was
full blown. Yeah, and that was like the first night. Like I spent the night with my girlfriend Stas too, and it was so funny because I'm like in my skirt, and I'm also wearing this shirt that says like "darling" and like sparkles and stuff, you know. And like I don't know, I really think that was a big reason she was attracted to me in the first place. Is like that's just a confidence, you know. Like I can wear a skirt any day of my life, you know. I'm still gonna look good, you know. I don't care.
I
like,
love that.
Like, also
not so much.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just like I
keep it basic.
I like doing things that are funny, you know what I mean? Things that because I come up from such a judgmental place in the South where like guys would be like, you know, like it's so bizarre to me that I love being able to poke the bear.
Yeah.
Because it's fun, you know, it just is. But you know, my legs don't look good in skirts. That's for sure. I got skinny, hairy legs. They look like, you know, like cheese sticks covered in hair.
Tattoos on your legs like Shaq's.
Yeah, dude. I did all of these though, which
Yourself?
is the funny. Yeah.
Wait, you did all the tattoos on your leg?
Yeah.
How'd you make the tattoo gun?
Well, I just ordered it off Amazon, and then I got it.
Bro, you can buy machines anywhere.
I need one.
Dude,
I need one. I
You
want to
can buy
start doing
anything, but the thing that was weird is like I couldn't get the ink to stay. Like apparently, I didn't know tattooing was so hard.
Yeah, you
like
can't
some of
baby
them-
it. You gotta get it.
Half his legs all faded.
You
with the
gotta get it
tattoos.
in there,
Dude,
man.
it's so
Wow,
funny.
that's crazy. You did all those?
I have sperm on my leg, which is really odd, but I had to do it.
Dude's got a sperm floating that looks like an octopus.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it was
That's
fun.
it, dude.
I don't know.
Full behind the scenes with Jaden.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I don't know. I have the dumbest tattoos in the world for sure.
I love it.
This says "sick dick" on my wrist. You can't really see it. Me and my drummer got it, dude. Tosh.
Sick dick.
You know Tosh?
I don't know.
You need to meet Tosh.
I don't know.
Tosh is probably the most character person I've ever met. He's my favorite kid in the world. He's awesome. He's also like,
Why are drummers such huge personalities?
dude,
man?
they're so sick. I don't know.
Banging
Tosh is
things,
so
going
awesome.
nuts the whole
He's
time.
also a ridiculous drummer. Like he will go down as one of the greatest drummers of all time. Like genuinely, he's so amazing. He actually just won an award, the Tony something Evans Drummer of the Year award.
Sick.
Like him, Travis won one, and then two other guys. So that was really cool for him. I'm
Damn.
stoked for him. But yeah, I just have a bunch of dumb tattoos, and I
Same.
continue just to go over them, and eventually you won't see all of them. So that'll be good.
I love
Dope,
it, dude.
dude.
Having you here in the studio, definitely a blessing at the same time. I'm glad people are going to be able to see a good side of you.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Sheckler putting this together. I remember when you called me, you were like, yeah, we got to get him on the podcast.
Yeah,
Guys, as
100%.
genuine as it comes, I think it definitely comes off that way, but it is who you are. And it's cool to see the transition. I'm glad people can hear that story from you because the way you tell it and the words and how you carry yourself, it's important. It's
Thank
important
you,
that
man.
people have a role model they can count on, but kids can know someone they listen to music nowadays. They get a little Instagram reel or a short on YouTube and that's all they get, you know?
Yeah.
So it's cool.
I
appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys. I would just say to anyone listening, you know, if you need someone who has made every wrong choice in their life and just hasn't given up, that's who I am, you know? Like, I'll never tell you anything that I have the right answers. I just know what I've been through in my life. That's what I put into my music. That's why I've cultivated relationships. Same thing with Ryan. I know he's the exact same way. So if you're looking at a leader that says they know everything, they don't, and you shouldn't be following them, you know?
Amen.
And
Amen.
Shaq's definitely a good representation of what it takes to kind of set the bar on being, you know, who you are, being authentic in your own skin, being comfortable to talk about the experiences, having both of you guys do that with each other. I'm sure the audience will be able to feel that. Makes people feel
Gotta
better
talk
too,
about
like
it,
they're
man.
like they're
Got
not
to.
alone. That's
Yeah,
the hardest
absolutely.
thing in today's time. People get stuck in this cloud because they think they're the only ones that have problems. We're all battling something. Just got to be able to figure out
Everybody.
what it is.
It's that one word, man. It's unique. You know, people get stuck thinking that their situation is unique, but it's not. Unfortunately, it's not. You know, people have been through what you're going through. You just have to be willing. It's just being willing to open up and say, this is what I'm going through. And I guarantee you'll find someone who's been in that position, been through it, and made it to the other side and will walk you through it. You just have to get vulnerable.
Yeah,
Amen.
exactly.
Amen.
And then take a 30-foot drop off of the side of a road.
And then feel something. Then you gotta feel
Go
something.
find a freeway.
Then you gotta go
in
feel
some
something.
country in Asia.
That's the
and
next.
Jump off that.
That's the next video. Is me doing what Ryan just did.
Just go scare yourself a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is, guys. This is it. This is what the JAXXON podcast is about. A platform where people can come, a culture, a community where people can share a good message, a good story, and kind of just be who they are and not have to worry about a front or some scripted BS that they have to follow. So I appreciate both of you guys more than anything.
Thank you, man.
Let's go.
That's it. JAXXON podcast. We out. Make sure you guys like,
Peace.
subscribe, check it out, leave a comment, the whole nine. Check out his new music. Check out Ryan's new part. You see the new board. Catch it while you get it. We out.
Like.